Hey everybody, welcome back to Spin Rack. I'm here with my boys Petey and Kyle. Say what's up, gents.
What's going on?
Hey, we're ready to rock.
Hey, we talking about the latest trailer drop for Shogun. Selector, drop it, please. Much better, Selector, much better.
Shut
Hear me,
up.
my son. I alone will tell you the truth. Death is the only punishment here.
I have not told you my family name, but it is well known in Japan. Many
Check your
years ago,
mama.
a great injustice stole everything from me. I have learned one truth, that enemies are everywhere and friends nowhere. To show your true heart is to risk your life.
Jokes and people.
Because death can come for us at any moment.
These are dire times. Hinomotoは戦乱の世に立ち返るのじゃ。Dream lovers, cursed kings. These people are godless savages. Or maybe they just don't give a shit what you think. 時は来た。誇り高ぶった逆賊から日の本を守らねばならん。
もはや戦議は終わったと思ってよいのじゃな。
動けない。
その後、己の敵の正体が分かっておるのじゃ。
You cannot play their games. That's how they dominate. A title revered through the ages. Shogun.
Shogun 3D.
Oh, this show looks off the chain. Again, I gotta say, the actors, the actresses, they look fantastic. The only thing is, it is the focus on Blackthorn is not there. It doesn't. You don't even know Blackthorn, and so I think we've touched on this before. I definitely want to see this version. I want to see what happens. I want to see how things progress. But if it may be a completely different departure from what was originally that we saw originally, read originally.
Back in the day.
What's your take on this, Cal?
Well, I think what we're seeing the heavy focus on uh, Naginata and who's it again? Mariko. We're seeing that because I don't think they feel that they can sell it if it's about Blackthorn, not in 2024, because then they're going to get accused of racial appropriation and all that other type of stuff. So we'll see these scenes, and then when we get the actual film, we'll either at this point, who knows? Maybe we'll see the story that was a bestseller and inspired a miniseries that was also very successful, or they'll decide to tinker around because they think modern sensibilities can't accept a good story.
I mean, the only problem is that Blackthorn is the eyes through which we see everything, right? And so, by bringing him down, he's such a central part of the story. Yes, basically what we're doing, we're watching the story of the creation of Japan through Blackthorn, and his view of the Western view of what he thinks Japan is, and how he comes to overcome his prejudices and start to realize what's actually happening here in Japan. At the same time, Nobunaga consolidates his rule, basically. But it's supposed to be an interesting look into a very foreign culture that's jarring at one point. And when you start watching, it's like, oh wow, what a help.
Well, I got to throw this in because Blackthorn is never a prejudiced character. He gets to Japan and he's pretty much out of sorts almost immediately because they're shipwrecked, and he's totally in Japanese power from the second he gets onto the land, and he's being pushed around, so on and so forth. And when he tries to stand up for himself, he gets urinated on. So he's never a character who gets to play, looking down at this type of stuff. Now his buddies, yeah, his buddies, we definitely see that with them, but he gets to experience the culture and is taken in firsthand because he's a pilot. So the label of him as a prejudiced character, and he had to put that type of stuff aside, doesn't really apply to him. Maybe his buddies, but not him.
Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like they've taken, because it looks like when the ship comes in there, they have character who could be him, but at the same time, it's kind of like seemingly veering towards where Mars was at, where they're like kind of I guess supposed to be the Spaniard is turning to him and saying
Portuguese.
something like, "Hey, blah blah blah, such and such." So it could be, trying to have him a little like jaded, and then kind of learning later, or it could
Well,
be they could do
if,
it.
if they're going if they're going by the if the Spaniard or the Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Portuguese, Portuguese, sorry, Portuguese, yeah.
Yeah, again, it depends because of I mean, the book is very layered, but it also understands the history of the time. So there's a lot of different agenda, machinations, goals that the characters have. All of them,
Mhm.
from Nobunaga on down, to Blackthorn, who's definitely the lowest guy on the lowest guy on the totem pole. But yeah, I would, I would be annoyed if they decided to, like, we got to make this dude prejudiced or racist, and then he's gonna have to learn, because that's not what the story was about. Especially since the author, man, do you remember the name of the author?
James
Shogun.
Cavell. James Cavell.
Yeah, this guy was if I remember correctly, he was a prisoner of war in Japan.
He's a prisoner
So
of war.
he would, yeah, so that's something that also influenced the stories that he was writing, because he knows firsthand what it was like to be in the power of somebody else. He knows that firsthand. So this was something that you could see that in in Shogun. You could see that aspect of it where he's there and he's totally in the from Jump Street. He's totally in their control. He's totally in their control, and his shipmates definitely make those type of expressions, here and there. And I don't expect that to be out of pocket for that time period. But Blackthorn gets treatment that's very, very different than them because of him being a pilot, and Nobunaga wants to tap him for all of his information, or as much of his information as possible. But it's something that I think that they feel obliged to do. That if the character's white and they're dealing with people who are non-white, then automatically they're going to be racist or prejudiced. So we'll see how that goes. But it takes away, when you do that, it takes away from the overall story,
But you
because
know what?
that's not the character.
I don't get that impression from the trailer. I mean, I just get the impression that it's a different culture. It doesn't make you racist or anything to say, "Hey, this culture is very different. Their mores is different." So when you see some of these trailers and some of the, I think of the first look
Mhm.
episodes, you see he's like, "Yo, they treat death and people in certain castes differently than what is done in the West, or what you assume according to your own opinion." But I didn't say make you racist. So I'm
Well,
hoping that
No, definitely not. If you're saying that the culture, I mean, I think that's obvious. If you're saying the culture is different, well, yeah, it's different. Now, if you're saying if this culture is backward or lesser and your culture is superior, that's when you're crossing the line into, being labeled as I just said. I mean, one of the earliest things that Blackburn sees is that he sees this guy being disrespectful to a samurai, and the samurai just cuts his head off.
yeah,
And that is part of the culture. So if he was like, man, you guys are a bunch of animals and savages, what the hell is going on? And somebody was like, oh, he doesn't understand their culture. I'm like, I don't know of a culture that's cool when you can get your head cut off because you looked at this guy the wrong way. So those are the things I'm taking into account. But and I've said it before, I really enjoyed the 80s miniseries when I had the chance to watch it. Very complex, very compelling story. Now, I mean, we've seen one trailer where Mariko was the focus, and now, you have this one right here, and we're not seeing a lot of Blackthorn, who is the focus of this story. There is no story without him, because you need this guy who is the fish out of water. Otherwise, there's really no reason to have any Westerners in it whatsoever. You could just tell this as the rise of Nobunaga and just use all Japanese characters. So, I'm hoping that they stick to this story that was very successful, but we know how they like to tinker with this stuff because they think they have to please an audience that isn't there.
it just looks absolutely beautiful the way the photography, cinematography is just. I mean, even the posters look wonderful, and I'm like, wow, these guys. It looks to me that they've taken the time to really um, bring this out. So I'm hoping that this has been that they took the time. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for now. So we
And
see.
you initially felt that it was, you know, like Sansa that was of Thorn, that character. You kind of looked at it, and that's what I kind of see from your point of view too. I was just pointing out they had maybe two scenes that looked like it, but it wasn't like it looked like it was from his eyes of being
Yeah,
like which you don't have to have a character in there. You just needed to have maybe a moment in the beginning to kind of say this is a person seeing it, like, so it would be showing you that this is us, the audience, looking at it, because that's basically what the idea is, which is a strong way to work through a film. But they made like, well, first we're going to do that, then we'll have him land, and some of the people that are with him land, and then we'll have mix him into the thing and have some, have some clashing of societies. And, no, you can't do that. Hey, I want to show you how to do this. If you work it like this, and then we work together and change the story as much as they want. But I hear you. It's just it looks like it's going to be big, but hopefully they don't throw out the baby with the bathwater to do a lot of.
the cast looks fantastic. I mean, I really got to say, they really look as though they pick some really strong actors on
I'm
characters.
gonna I'm gonna tinker with what Petey said. It's not for me. It's not the baby with the bathwater because there's no bathwater. Hopefully, you don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
You know, you got a perfectly good story. You got a perfectly good story there that was successful in print and prose. That was successful already as a televised miniseries. One of the first miniseries, okay, if not the first miniseries to show so many aspects of Japanese history and culture. Okay, and there's nothing, to be very frank, there's nothing wrong with it. But I know these guys always think they need to do something. I mean, it's one thing to improve on, oh, we can make the armor look better. That's fine. You can't make the story better.
Yep, they make the story better. All right, so hey, we're all in agreement. We like this. We're cautious. We hope there's no major changes, but hey, we want to check it out. Spin rack.
We're out.
Votes.